Okay, so let's take a look at this footer. This is called a monolithic slab. And if you look carefully, let me move my foot out of the way, you'll see where I started to trench under the footer, okay? Basically, it's right here. This is the bottom of the floor. And they pour concrete up the wall, and this is the footer. It's actually the floor as well. Maybe it's a little thicker here along the exterior wall. What's been happening is that water rises up underground and pushes against the floor underneath, makes that hardwood pop off, or the tile become hollow, or it cracks these walls. What we need to do is put our footer pipe along this trench, right alongside the wall. It's not deep. This has to be, underground and, at the same level as the bottom of this, so that we're not that deep. Over here, you can see this planter bed that was created. This is about 3.5 feet of planter bed. And guess what? They actually poured a footer for that. And I knew they did. But you can see here's the footer for that block wall. But they did not pour a footer for this. This is monolithic slab. What we're going to do here is we're actually just going to core through this to help drain it out, because there's no drain holes in there at all. Over here, we're calling this the full sun wall. You can see how strong the sun is. Remember, this is South Florida, so the sun's even stronger. It's quite warm over here. But we've already got this excavated, maybe a little bit too deep, but we can backfill. But again, you can see the monolithic slab. You see, here's the bottom of the floor, and it comes up about this high. And that's the top of the floor inside. And all that is concrete slab across. There should have been, which is not here anymore, but there should have been a visqueen vapor barrier placed underneath of here to help keep that moisture out. This house was built in 1990, so it's what, 20 plus years old, and it's almost 20 years old, and of course that's long deteriorated. You can also see the root system going on in here as well. You can also see the root system that's going on because it's monolithic. You can see, and these things are soaking wet, so much moisture coming underneath of here. There was a row of viburnums alongside the house here that we had to pull just to trench. Back there where Chris is excavating, there's actually an overpour of concrete, goes out about 4 feet, 3 feet, and maybe 4 feet wide. And that's just where they dump their excess concrete. We're going to go around that. We're not going to jackhammer that out.
Okay,
so we've got this front wall excavated. And what we're doing right now is we're digging the sump basin. And the reason we're putting it here is because he happens to have an outlet right here, so it's easy to plug in. But what we're finding is, remember, this is the Florida Everglades, and it was just filled. They filled the swamp. And you can see the soil is getting more and more muddy as we get down deeper. But what they did was they just brought in a bunch of backfill, a lot of rock, really trashy debris. Typical backfill, that you put down when you're filling the swamp. But wow, really hard to dig through. So if you're going to do this yourself, be prepared, because as you start to dig down here in South Florida, especially out here, the west side of 95, you're going to find all. Okay, so we've got this side excavated. As you can see, now we're going to go ahead and clean it all off, rinse it off, scrape off all the roots, all the mud and debris that is stuck at the bottom of the stucco. The stucco people came back here recently, and they sealed clear down to the bottom of the monolithic slab, which was good. That may have actually been enough sealing, but we're still going to put our liquid rubber. You can see a spot over there. We've got all this excavated, and again, something you as the homeowner could do. This one's quite tough, and you can see all the little rocks. And this is mortar and backfill. Remember, we're on the Everglades, and they filled it up here to stop the swamp. But interesting things, you see this piece of concrete. They actually, because it's monolithic, remember it's a solid piece of concrete as the floor. That's the footer as well as, the foundation. And they braced it. They braced it underneath of there on this corner. None of the other corners, but on this corner. Because there must have been an issue here. Perhaps this needs to be pinned, where we send a pier down to the bedrock, which will be quite deep here in the Everglades. There is, the aquifer, which runs all through the state of Florida, limestone. We could pin it into that, but I don't think they need that. I think by putting in these drains, getting these roots off the wall, cleaning it off, seal it with our liquid rubber, and give that water a place to go. We've got the sump basin in back here, You see it over there. That's going to collect the water, and then we'll pump it out. Probably just come straight out here to the sidewalk and let it discharge. Almost have enough for gravity, but not quite. The pump works a lot better. Last little section over there, got to go underneath of a foot. There used to be a wall there around the pool. They changed it to that gate. There used to be a wall there. We got to go through that footer. And then where Joe's tunneling, tough spot because of all these little tiny rocks. You can see it's just a tiny little bit of dirt that comes out with each shovel, but we'll get underneath. You can see I already have the pit down in the ground installed. And you can see the two nipples I cut off for the inlet, one bringing water from this side, from the sidewalk all the way over. That's the footer pipe, brings it into the pit. And then this hole is going to bring in from this corner where I'm just getting ready to wash off the wall. And you'll notice that I put an old M53 down there just to help kind of pump the water out. Also perforated the pit, so I drilled holes in the side to help water get into the pit. And it just temporarily pumps out onto the ground. But what I wanted to show you here was, let's take a look at where this water flows, because this was backfilled so poorly. As I start to wash this off, we have a lot of cleanup, but let's just start. And that's right there where the water's hitting. That's the bottom of the footer. What you see right there is excess mortar and excess junk that was left there. In other words, the footer's not down there. See how it's just eroding it away? That's just a garden hose. So we're going, right to there, cleaning it off. We'll get all those roots, cut them off. We're going to seal, so you can see where that hose is sitting. We'll seal up about this high with the liquid rubber. So what we want to see is, see how that water sits right there? I mean, it's trying to flow a little bit towards the pit, but there's just so much mortar and concrete down there that water cannot get through. But however, it can come up as water pressure and groundwater increases. Pressure pushes that water up, and it goes underneath of the slab of the home, and that's causing the problem. So let's just keep washing this off, and those guys will come back and cut those roots and scrub it with a wire brush. We'll get it real clean. As you can see how it's just eating out. You see, that's just horrible backfill underneath of there. Just terrible what they did. And again, the house has been here for, I say terrible, I'm not knocking them. They did a great job. The house has been up standing for 20 years. It's not falling down or anything, but it could have been done better. So we'll just keep cleaning this off. Just kind of want to remind you, you can see there's some roots that are going underneath of this. This is not growing, whoops, there's roots going underneath of here, and we've already cut them off. They're dead. There's no reason to try to pull this out. This is just sand. The footer is clear, the bottom of the pour of the floor is clear up here. So we don't need to worry about that. We've cut those off, they're dead. Some water will travel across there, but it should flood up into our trench and then be carried away by the pipe. So now we're going to seal the wall. We're going to seal it about 2 or 3 inches above the original grade, which was right here. And you can see there used to be a tar on that wall before they put the new stucco on it. So we'll give it a little bit higher grade, and then we'll put our pipe in, come over here to the sump pump, move this mound, put that pipe, the discharge pipe, more permanent underground. It'll go out and go under that first walk and discharge out close to the street. So here we've got the front wall with our liquid rubber, for the sealant. You can see our easy flow installed. Comes around this bay window, ties into the sump pit. We put a temporary sump pump in there for today. We're not going to be able to finish all this today. So in case it does rain, we're still going to backfill, but if it rains, we'll be able to pump that water out. Comes around the other side, picking up all of this with our easy flow. Again, sealed the wall, added the easy flow. Remember, that is perforated pipe surrounded by styrofoam peanuts. It works the same as gravel, perforated pipe, and it works even better. So it comes over to the sump pit, temporary pump to just, in case it rains. So now we're ready to backfill. Hey, good morning. Chuck here at Apple Drains. Today we're down in South Florida. This is day 2 here in Boca Raton. It's actually a city called Davie. We found out the exact name, Davie. But Boca Raton, Florida, right by the water here, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. what we're doing is we're waterproofing the side of this house all the way around. Yesterday, as you saw, we went ahead and dug up along the footer. We sealed the wall with liquid rubber, as you can see. Sealed the wall with liquid rubber. We put our new footer pipe down in there, and we installed the sump pumps and sump basins, and we put a temporary discharge on it in case it rained last night. Today we're doing the discharge, which is from here, from the sump basin. We're going to come out through the yard. We're going to cut this sod. You can see I've already started. Go under this walk or through the walk because it's pavers. We'll use a pop-up or a grate for our discharge somewhere right here. We could go to the walk, but let's go right here in the center of the yard so that it disperses and goes across the yard. So now we're going to drill the discharge, which is a 2-inch hole. We're using a 2-inch hole saw. I'm using the power drill just because the other drill's occupied, but go ahead and cut that hole. Real quick and simple. And so that 2-inch hole that accepts our 1.5 PVC, you can see it's a perfect hole for the exterior, the outer diameter of the 1.5. Next we'll make the measurement from the pump and the check valve as it comes up. We'll put a 90 here. Okay, so you can see we've got our Zoller M98 installed. Pressure relief, little hole drilled into the little riser, check valve, comes up 90s. Now we've brought it out. We're going to make some connections here, continue it on out until it goes on out to the middle of the yard, out by the sidewalk. So let's review how this system works. You can see we've brought a line in from over here. This is called footer pipe. Some people call it a French drain. What it is, it's gravel perforated pipe. So it's perforated pipe surrounded by gravel, although we're using easy flow, which is perforated pipe surrounded by styrofoam peanuts. And it's a different kind of packing peanut. It's not the same. It's quite dense and quite hard. It does not squish. It gives you good voids so that water can rise up and get into the perforation of the pipe and it's carried away. We've got another one on this side. So we're picking up all the walls. You can see it comes all the way around that bay window. And around here behind me as well, goes all the way around to this corner here. As groundwater rises, it comes into the system, into those perforated pipes, as well as our sump basin. We've perforated around the side of the basin, and that will allow groundwater to come in as well. As that groundwater rises, it floods into the pit. The sump pump lifts it up, and is going to send it out to a discharge point, good distance from the house, but it will eventually get into the gutter system of the street, and that's where this water belongs. Okay, so right here, just off of the sump basin, we had a pretty good size showcase palm that we didn't want to disturb. We're pretty close to it anyways, but because it's kind of, the trench kind of turns at a small angle, what we can do, they do make a fitting for that, but I like to use these rubber no-hubs because they're flexible. That'll give us enough play for this pipe to go right down through here and go continue on down the line. So you can kind of see the little bend that it made, and because it's flexible, you know, the rubber, hard rubber, it'll never leak. It works great, and stainless steel couplings, you know, the bands hold it together, and that just helped me make that little bit of a turn. And you can see it's just ever so slightly off. No hubs, great invention. So here's the discharge of one of the pipes. We're closing out the video. You can see we've cleaned it all up and backfilled it. What a neat little place here, right on the Everglades. And this is South Florida, Boca Raton, and you know, they've got major water problems throughout the area. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Want to know how to fix this problem? This is a video from Live Help, and we offer two types of live help. One is the group chat, which meets every weekend. This is a free group video chat, and everyone is invited to join. The other is live help one-on-one. Take a look at this problem. You can see water pours down the driveway. I mean pours down the driveway, and it's flooding right through the backyard, taking everything with it. Do you want to learn the real truth about fabric? Join our live help, the group chat. You're going to see things that other people are telling you are working, but we're showing you results from actual homeowners that have installed these systems and they do not work. Join the live help group chat. Subscribe to the channel. Look below in the description box for the links to the live help group. Real simple, just click the link, it'll take you right straight to the group. Don't be fooled by Sideshow Bob. Fabric does work, but not in all cases, not for everyone's French drain. It really depends on the soil type that you're digging in. And you can see from this little video, this was from someone that just sent us a video. Take a look. Look how slow that system actually does work.